encounter the term apocalypse, our minds are often flooded with apocalyptic images, catastrophic predictions, and a sense of fear of the unknown. However, the approach to this theme goes beyond simple predictions of the end of the world and cinematic apocalyptic events. In the Holy Bible, the apocalypse is referred to as the final book of the Bible. It is a deep dive into symbolic visions and revelations about the future. Facing the unknown, as presented in the apocalypse, requires a careful understanding of the symbols and metaphors used in this apocalyptic text. The book is a rich work written by the Apostle John, inspired by God, depicting visionary visions that span from historical events to the promise of a new heaven and a new earth. To confront the unknown in this context, it is vital to delve into the scriptures with a respectful approach, considering the historical and literary context of the time it was written. Making decisions based on what the apocalypse reveals involves not only interpreting the prophecies, but also the practical application of these teachings in everyday life. The apocalypse is not just a book of gloomy forecasts, but a narrative that emphasizes God's sovereignty over future events, many of which are happening and being fulfilled exactly in today's world. Faced with the unknown, the central message is to trust in divine providence, understanding that God holds ultimate control over the course of history. All people who have trusted in God have had their lives changed and have created stories, a legacy. The need to make decisions in the face of apocalyptic visions also extends to how we live our lives in the present. The apocalypse is not just a glimpse of the future, but a call to action in the present. The messages addressed to the 7 churches reveal eternal principles that transcend time, outlining the path to a life centered on God. Facing the unknown in the light of the apocalypse is an invitation to reflect on our daily choices, our ethical conduct, and our pursuit of holiness. The apocalypse, far from being a manual of fear, is a testimony to the hope we find in God. The vision of a new heaven and a new earth serves as a compass, directing our decisions in the present toward a redemptive future. When facing the unknown revealed in these pages, we are challenged to live with purpose, seeking justice, compassion, and faithfulness to God amid life's challenges. Therefore, in the face of the apocalypse, we confront not only a panorama of future events, but also a profound call to live with faith and courage in the present. When making decisions, we are guided by the light of divine revelation, confident in the promise that, even in the unknown, God is in control and will lead us toward an eternal destination of peace and fulfillment. Facing the unknown can be a difficult and challenging task for some people, especially when it comes to future events and undefined situations. However, it is possible to develop skills and strategies to deal with this uncertainty. First and foremost, it's important to maintain an open mind and be willing to confront situations with courage and determination. Other important aspects to be utilized are faith and trust, both of which can yield new fruits and abilities. Additionally, it is crucial to seek information and knowledge to better understand what is happening and make informed decisions. Decision-making is a complex and delicate process, especially in crisis or uncertain situations. To confront this challenge, it is helpful to follow some steps. Analysis of the situation. It is important to analyze the situation clearly and identify the most relevant and significant aspects. This will help to better understand what is happening and make more appropriate decisions. Understanding what the Book of Revelation says and comparing it with the events of the last 2 decades. Search for information. Look for relevant and reliable information to aid in decision-making. They are modifying words in the Bible. Seek older versions. This may include consulting experts, namely, individuals with daily spiritual contact and intimacy with God, regardless of ecclesiastical position. Reading books, articles, and watching videos on the subject will help you build analysis and improve your critical thinking. Scenario creation. Build different possible scenarios and analyze the consequences of each decision option. This will help visualize potential solutions and choose the best alternative for how you want to lead your life. For example, is my life without God good or bad? What will happen if I start seeking God? What will happen to my soul if I don't choose God? Decision-making. After analyzing the current situation in the world, seeking information in the Bible, and creating scenarios, it's time to make a decision. Remember that not all decisions will be perfect, but it's important to act based on the best available knowledge. God speaks to us through the Holy Bible. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Matthew 11 verses 28 to 30. Jesus, the Son of God, says, "In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you?" John 14 verse 2. Evaluation and adjustment. After making a decision, it is important to evaluate it and make adjustments to your daily life as needed. This will help ensure that the actions taken are effective and efficient. It will assist in becoming a better version of yourself every day. Each choice is intensified by the awareness that even a slight delay can have drastic implications. The constant urgency creates an environment where the ability to analyze and reflect is often sacrificed for the immediate need for action. From family relationships and social communities. Balancing spiritual pursuit with the human need for social connection is a fundamental challenge in these ascetic contexts. In a world unfolding in an intricate web of interconnections and constantly changing variables, humility regarding our ability to predict the consequences of our actions becomes an essential virtue. We live in a non-linear environment where every choice, no matter how small, can trigger an unpredictable cascade of effects. In this non-linear context, humility becomes a compass that guides us through complexity, reminding us that, even with our best efforts, there are aspects of the future that will remain beyond our vision. By embracing this humility, we become not only agents of change but perpetual learners in a world that, by its very nature, will always resist total predictability.